Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today I have my 5 takeaway series covering 5 Dynasty topics. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. So, the first topic is a little bit of a negative topic. Khalil Shakir, the high ankle sprain. He suffered a high ankle sprain. He's going to miss at least 4 to 5 weeks. That's consistent. Usually for high ankle sprain in NFL, you miss 3 games. They're saying 4 to 5 weeks. It's about right because we're in practice time. Week 1 will be a race. The odds favor Shakir playing it, I think. Will he be 100%? Probably not. What I think is we're not going to see Shakir play in any preseason. We're not going to see him practice until we get to actual game practice for week 1. I do think we see Shakir work out on a limited basis and play. That's my guess. However, let's say he does miss some time. Keon Coleman and Joshua Palmer would be the starting 2 wide receivers. Although Palmer has a groin injury, I don't think that's going to stop him from playing week 1. We're still a month away. The Bills do run a lot of 12 personnel with Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. So probably on the Bills, to be fantasy relevant, you have to be one of the 2 wide receivers who play in their 12 personnel, which, if Shakir can't go, would be Coleman and Palmer. Then you have Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel competing for that wide receiver 3 role, whatever that is. So for me, I would consider looking at this opportunity to move on from Keon Coleman or Joshua Palmer if there's a value spike in your league. So this is just kind of a strategy thing. When players gain value based on nothing that they did, but like something else happening, like, Dylan Sampson as an example. Something else happened where he gained value. Typically, I want to consider moving them because a lot of the times that value is fake. It's not real. It doesn't hold up over time. So if someone's willing to overpay for Keon Coleman, who was not great as a rookie, or Joshua Palmer, who we know is not it, and Dalton Kincaid even, who kind of disappointing. Again, if this is a moment you could sell them for a good price, I'm happy to do it. I'm not attached to these players. If you can't do it, fine to hold them as well, but just explore the market. You never are going to make a good trade if you don't try. So I'm just saying, go out and try. Now, the second piece of news, and I'm actually surprised that this hasn't become a formal signing. Keenan Allen visited the Chargers, visited on Friday, actually right after I dropped my video. Hasn't signed yet. I do expect him to sign. He might have signed by the time you're hearing this. I'm recording this around 2 Eastern on Monday. Maybe he's already signed, but I do think he will sign. And it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in this offense. He had a 43.2% slot rate last year, and Ladd McConkey was in the slot actually more than, let's just say 2024. 64.6% slot rate last year, 6th among NFL in slot snaps. McConkey's going to play in 2 wide receiver sets and get used in the slot. So what is Allen going to do? Is he going to play outside like he did actually quite a bit last year in Chicago? Is he more of a backup slot option? Is Keenan Allen really signing to be a backup? Quentin Johnston, Trey Harris, and Keandre Lambert-Smith are all mostly focused on playing outside wide receivers. So if Allen is depth in the slot, it makes sense. If he's going to play outside, it's kind of confusing. If he's going to force Ladd McConkey outside, it's a little confusing. So Allen wasn't washed last year, 27.2% target share, which was 11th among wide receivers. But how much does he has left at age 33? I'm not sure. Usually that's right around the age cliff. 32 is usually the end. 33 is the second most common age for just the end. So I don't know. I'm not targeting Keenan Allen at all. I'll just say that. As for what you want to do, I do think if someone drops Oronde Gadsden, that's probably not going to happen. But if someone drops Keandre Lambert-Smith, I would add him. He's flashed. I've talked about both of them on the channel in the Patreon. I still want to add players like this on a strong passing offense. And I do think it'll be a strong passing offense. I talked about the stats with Justin Herbert after the bye when he was fully healthy, recovered from the plantar fascia and the high ankle sprain issues. They passed at a totally normal rate. Actually, they were very effective. So I'd be looking to roster these players. I certainly wouldn't be dropping them in my dynasty leagues. As for McConkey, McConkey is someone that I believe in. I mean, let's look at his rookie year. 82 catches, 1,149 yards, 7 touchdowns as a rookie. 2.56 yards per route run, 7th among wide receivers. He produced raw statistics. He produced for fantasy. He produced on a per route basis. Players like this typically become very good or elite wide receivers. Usually things around them don't stop them from doing it. So I'd take any discount offered on McConkey. Now, the next story. And my least favorite type of story. James Cook skipped practice for business. I covered this story a bit ago on the channel where I noted that Cook showed up to training camp because he has no leverage. He has no leverage in this situation. He will not be paid the $15 million a year that he's seeking. He won't be paid that. And running backs who hold out have all hit the graveyard shortly after. We saw what happened with Le'Veon Bell. Didn't really work for him. He got paid, but it didn't work. He wasn't good after that. Melvin Gordon really wasn't the same. Holding out didn't work for Hassan Reddick at a different position last year. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not going to help. And it's just going to take time away from practicing, which is bad. As we've also seen, the year that like Josh Jacobs kind of held out and for the Raiders, and then he showed up. Wasn't good. So let's see. Cook last year in 16 games, 207 carries, 1,009 yards, 16 touchdowns, 4.9 yards a carry, 32 catches, 258 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was great, but it all came from touchdowns, not a high volume running back. I mean, I've been all over all of this. He actually averaged fewer yards, carries, and receptions per game than in 2023. It was just 16.7 fantasy points a game, 11th among running backs. So it wasn't a league winner or anything. I have a bad feeling about this. I have a really, really bad feeling that this is not going to end well. It's going to end with Cook reluctantly showing up, and kind of it is what it is from that point. Now, what would I do? I'd look to see if there was a market for James Cook. Last time I talked about James Cook, I talked about it from the Ray Davis angle. I'm getting nervous here with Cook, like I said. This is not Terry McLaurin. I cannot imagine that the Commanders don't sign Terry McLaurin. I can imagine that the Bills don't sign Cook. I don't know how Cook reacts to that. I don't know. I would assume he shows up because I don't know what choice he has and he plays. But Cook is not Breece Hall, who's 2 years younger. And if I had to choose between James Cook and Breece Hall, I think both are going to play out the years. Both are going to hit free agency. I think the NFL much more prefers Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall will attract more interest in free agency. I think he's a more complete running back. He's 2 years younger. So if Cook suffers from touchdown regression, he's going to be 27 playing in 2026. He could be on a new team. If it's a lower powered offense, I don't know. I'm fine taking 80 to 90 cents on the dollar here. I just don't want to hold the bag with James Cook. I feel like you got the outlier year. If you never get that again, you're not going to miss having sold James Cook in Dynasty. Now, if you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon. And a lot of people have done that over the last couple of days. So I want to thank everyone who's signed up. I'll say again, I'm offering a 50% discount off your first month at all tiers using code TylerYT50. Click on the link in the top right corner, patreon.com/fantasy advice. At checkout, use the code TylerYT50 to get 50% off your first month. You can get all my rankings, so that's Dynasty, Redraft, and Start Sit for every week of the season. Access to the Discord where we discuss fantasy, everything that's happening. Can't cover it all on the YouTube. I do the videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern drop. If something happens at Saturday at 1 p.m., you'll have to wait until Monday at 4 for me to cover it. Not so on the Patreon. On the Patreon, I cover it all the time. And also all write-ups, videos, direct message fantasy advice, and the ability to ask in advance questions for the YouTube videos. Tiers begin at just $5 a month, $250 with that discount that I talked about. So you can get involved in a nice low price. If you want to know more about the Patreon, check out my Why You Should Join the Patreon videos on the channel. They're on the homepage of the channel under Patreon promos. And again, I believe in this product. Someone asked me, how many leagues have you helped people win? I mean, it's hundreds. I have hundreds of patrons. So hundreds. I've helped people win hundreds of leagues. This is a way to be a winner. This is a way to get involved, to have fun with Dynasty Fantasy Football. So you'll win, you'll have fun, you get to discuss every topic. I think it's a great value. And I believe in it so much that I'm willing to let you try it for 50% off for an entire month. So I'd love to see people sign up. Patreon.com/fantasy advice. And with that said, I'll get into my next topic. I can't believe we're doing this again, but I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it from a lot of people saying that now, well, Kyle Pitts is going to break out in 2025. He's not. It's enough of this. We're way past the point of excuses and hype with Pitts. I actually heard people saying, well, because of the Falcons' bad quarterback situation in 2024, Pitts wasn't able to break out. Really? The bad quarterback situation that allowed Drake London to break out and Darnell Mooney to have his best season in many years? Maybe it's actually very simple. Maybe Kyle Pitts is just bad. He's just bad. It's not hard. You know, he was bad. He was bad last year. 47 catches, 602 yards, 4 touchdowns, 74 targets, 2.8 catches, and 35.4 yards a game. He was worse. Despite other people got better. Drake London, big improvement from 2023 to 2024. Darnell Mooney appeared in the offense and was quite productive. What about Kyle Pitts? No, not more productive, not better. This coaching staff, they saw Kyle Pitts play every down at the start of the season. Yes, they saw that, and they said, please take him off the field. Take him off the field more. In 9 of the final 10 games, he failed to break a 55% snap share. You cannot be a fantasy relevant tight end playing less than 55% of the snaps. Period. End of story. Period. It will not happen. He was phased out of the offense, not under a different coaching staff. This coaching staff told him, we don't want you. We don't want you. We don't want you on the field. Why would it change? I'm sorry. Why? Someone tell me why. Because some news reporter said, whoa, he looks good. Enough of this. We've seen on the field with this coaching staff that Kyle Pitts is a failure. If you're going to tell me he might do better on another team, fresh face somewhere else, that I might believe. But the idea that he's going to do better with the same coaching staff when nothing has changed, that I find hard to believe. That I'm not going to entertain with serious thought. So the answer to this is to sell Kyle Pitts immediately. There's actually a window right now. Darnell Mooney is missing some time. That may be why we're hearing about Pitts more. But Mooney's injury, this is shoulder injury, is not going to prevent him from playing the whole year. Maybe he'll play week 1. Maybe he won't. But it's not a long-term injury. This is not a long window. This is your window. This is your moment. Get rid of Kyle Pitts now. I do not believe in him at all. Nothing is going to change. So, you know, you can be wrong, but this is one of those ridiculous things I've ever heard, that Kyle Pitts is just suddenly going to break out now. There's no evidence to support that theory whatsoever. Now, the last one, and this is one, the opposite of Kyle Pitts. There are some news reports we hear, well, he looked good today, or this player looked good, or this player was doing this, or this was doing that. This is not one of them. The drumbeat has been consistent. Since the Vikings acquired Mason via trade, re-signed Jones, they have said, we want to use a committee with these running backs. We want to get both running backs involved. You read the reports from Vikings training camp this week. Both running backs are seeing significant usage. Consistent usage, consistent hype. And we saw it last year. The Vikings wanted to get Ty Chandler involved. They wanted to get Cam Akers involved to spell Aaron Jones. They weren't able to do that because those players are bad. Jordan Mason is not bad. Jordan Mason averaged 5.2 yards a carry last year. Jordan Mason had 789 rushing yards in 12 games. He was very efficient. He led the league in rushing yards for a while. He looked really good as a rusher, not as a pass catcher, which is interesting. Let's look at Jones. He was also good. 255 carries. 1,138 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4.5 yards a carry, 51 catches, 408 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was good, especially as a pass catcher. Now, he had a career high in carries, turned 30 in December, turns 31 this December. I don't know if the Vikings want to repeat the 255 carries. And I can't blame them, because would Jones probably be more efficient on fewer carries? Yes. And he was still good as a pass catcher, which is Jordan Mason's weakness. So it makes sense to use a committee. Now, for me, I would look to move on from Aaron Jones. In redraft, Jones remains the higher ranked back. And I think it's hard. They don't want to rank committees. They want to say, well, this is the guy, the other guy lower. I have him ranked in redraft actually pretty close. Jones, I think, has 5 spots higher. Is there a chance this is a backfield with 2 usable running backs? Sure. It's not going to be a backfield with 2 great running backs. They're not going to be 2 top 20 running backs in this backfield. And I think we go, Jones goes back to the 12 to 13 carries a game he had near the end in Green Bay instead of the 15 per game he had last year. Jones has never been great near the goal line. I think Jordan Mason gets the goal line work. And if you told me that the 2 running backs were almost identical in fantasy points per game, that I would believe you. So I consider selling Jones. I don't think you're getting what you got last year. I think you're getting something not as exciting and not super valuable. So this is probably your last chance to get something out of Aaron Jones from a dynasty perspective. So I've got a lot of Patreon questions today. It just shows how active the Patreon is. So I'll get into those and then we'll wrap up the video. What are some warning signs a dynasty league may be in trouble of folding? Okay, so this is if people are not active, if people are not submitting their payments. That's a very, very troubling sign. People timing out during the rookie draft, things like that. Thoughts on Patrick Mahomes? Is he a buy, sell, or hold? Is he a better real-life quarterback than fantasy quarterback? I'll take the second part first. Yes, I do think he's a better real-life quarterback than fantasy quarterback at this point. Is he a buy, sell, or hold? I will say I've seen him bought and sold at prices that I like. More sold, but I've seen both in Dynasty. So he's someone where I'd have to explore the market. I'd lean sell. I've still seen some nice offers where you're kind of getting the old Mahomes price, which I don't think we're ever going back to now that he's, about to turn 30. Fantasy relevance hasn't been there in a while. I think we're probably not going to get that back. So yeah, lean sell, but I've seen both. Any concerns over perennial good offenses of the Bills and Niners? So I'll take the Bills first. With the Bills, I have no concerns about Josh Allen. Josh Allen himself will still be great. No concerns. Everyone else, big concerns. There's not much else there. one player is holding out, and another player is now going to be injured for 4 to 5 weeks. So, yes, I have major concerns there. As for the Niners, it's kind of the opposite situation. If there are too many more injuries and too many more problems, I will start to get concerned about Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy is not immune to losing weapons. If he loses all of his weapons, he's not going to be good. George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey are still there, but they're older. So we have to see how they age. Ricky Pearsall's look good, but I do have some concerns. The Niners have a thinner group at especially, the receiving room than they have in the past. So I'd say minor concern, but the 49ers win total says that I shouldn't be concerned. So for that reason, I'm not panicking or anything like that. Besides the Eagles and Chiefs, which team has best set themselves up to compete for the long term? It's usually the teams with the franchise quarterbacks. I think the Commanders are in good shape, although, they have to work out some issues, but they have Jaden Daniels, who was elite and on a rookie deal for many years. Obviously, the Ravens are going to be a contender. The Bills are going to be a contender. They do have a lot of salary cap, especially the Bills, to kind of manage. But yeah, the Eagles and the Chiefs are the two that are best set up. But the other teams that are usually contenders, Ravens and Bills, and then the Commanders also are up there. Which players are you most excited to watch during this week of preseason games? So it's going to be the players that we've heard a lot of hype, but we have to see, are they going to deliver? on that hype? Are they going to run with the first team? Ja'Cory Krosky-Marriott, we have to see. Dante Thornton, I'd love to see something about that. Players like that, the ones who are getting the hype, of course, are the ones I'm excited to see. Those are probably two on the list. Oh, I'd love to see how Tyler Warren is used. That could be interesting. I don't know if he's going to play in the preseason, but if he does, that would excite me. I want to see Tyler Warren. Everyone on the Bears, the entire Bears offense, I'd love to see how that's going to be run. That could be interesting. So there's some. But in general, I'm just excited to see something. I love football. I'm excited. We're here. How do you determine if a rookie who's gaining value preseason is sell or hold? Very simple. League dependent. I have a price. I talk about this in the Patreon. I talk about, I'd be happy to sell the player for X. Can you get X? If you can get X, I'd be happy to sell. If you can't, then they're not a sell. So I have my price. If you can get it in your league, do it. If not, don't. I typically say, though, players who have gained a lot of value based on not anything really happening typically are sells. Value based not on they played in a real regular season game and scored fantasy points. Now that's real. That value is real. Value based on, someone said they look good. That is a little more questionable. Sometimes those, again, I lean towards sell, but you have to get my price. The price is increased. Yesterday's price is not today's price. So a lot of the times for kind of the lower players, typically it's got to be at least a third for me to even consider it. I'm not usually selling for fourths. I've found that is not usually right. You're usually better off holding out for a third for any player that has almost any value instead of just taking a fourth. What are the pros and cons of playing in a max points for league compared to a record league for determining rookie order? So I used to be against this. I used to say that it was better to play in a record league where it's done that way. I've kind of come around on it. I just find that this is very simple. The max points for, it is what it is. Doesn't matter how people set their lineup. It doesn't matter what this is happening, who's doing this. It is what it is. You have the number. The draft is ordered by that. Period. End of story. Simple. No weird collusion, no tanking problems, debates, hurt feelings. I just think it's easier. I've come around on that. So I used to prefer it the other way. For me, I just think there are many, many more pros than cons. It just solves a lot of problems that are not really why we're playing Dynasty, right? To have arguments and issues. That's not why we play Dynasty. Is Konata Mumfield on your radar at all? This is a Rams rookie wide receiver. I heard great things about his route running after the Rams drafted him. He seems to be getting some buzz. So the problem here is Matthew Stafford's back injury, I think, is a big problem. I almost chose that as a video topic, but I feel like I've talked about that already. Talked about that a lot. That's a big problem. So if Matthew Stafford is either limited or not playing at all, the Rams are not even going to be able to support Davante Adams, let alone a wide receiver 3. And Konata Mumfield is in a 3-way battle to maybe be the wide receiver 3 between Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, and Mumfield. And I don't think Mumfield is winning that battle right now. I think it's going to be Tutu Atwell considering how much they paid him. But I think even Jordan Whittington is ahead of Mumfield. So if I had to pick a deep Rams stash, it would be Whittington. But I'm not really rostering this player. It's this wide receiver deep on the roster. They're not going to pass Puka Nacua or Davante Adams this year without an injury. So a 1 in 3 chance at maybe getting the Rams wide receiver 3. Not sure that I would be targeting that. And that's if I think it's 1 in 3. And I think it's a lot less. Now, if you like the video, make sure to support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice every day, it's available on the Patreon. I'm in there every day. Patreon.com/fantasy advice. You can click the link in the top right corner, sign up. 50% discount at all tiers using the code TylerYT50. Every sign up helps support my independent content, and I promise you won't regret signing up. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all